Thank you. The right to food. It protects us from hunger and malnutrition, but it also gives us the means to feed ourselves in dignity. This, to me, it means that the food that we eat should be free of any chemicals that could be harmful to us, as well as the food should ultimately be beneficial to our health. Look at this cake. It's a famous Brazilian cake called bolo de fubá. And unless you are Brazilian, you are unlikely to know the ingredients of this cake, so likely you don't know if you can eat it. Do you have some allergy that may cause a problem by eating this cake? Well, the reality is that we are all different. Some food is good for us, and some food is not. And this is for each of every one of us. We have different food sensitivities and different health concerns. And I have a story now to tell you about my daughter, a personal story. My daughter, when she was 13, she developed chronic hives, angioedema, chronic fatigue, tremors, sensitivity to light. And she was bedridden for 8 months. As doctors could not decide what was the actual diagnosis for this horrible illness, chronic illness, I took upon myself to look into it and to work through it. It took us many months, many rooms. We waited patiently to see doctors, and many months of actually doing intravenous injections just to keep her alive. And in those rooms, I met several people, as many as here. People that had undiagnosed illnesses, people that were waiting for an answer why they had this chronic illness. Fortunately, to my daughter, she was finally diagnosed, and the cause of her chronic illness was actually a severe allergy to penicillin, as well as some other allergies to gluten, to titanium dioxide, to food dyes, and a mild intolerance to glucose. This diagnosis was truly empowering and life-saving, but it took 1 year, and she lost 1 year of her school year. It became very hard for us to understand what was in the food. What could we feed her? What could she eat and not break up into these severe hives? And so, with my background in technology and the help of my company, we started thinking about a device that could scan a cake like this, scan any food in your dish, in your plate, and give you the information of what exactly is in that food. And this is what my team and I have been developing. So I present to you our first beta prototype. It's a working beta prototype. I will be demoing it today. It's called the TellSpec food sensor. But before I go there, I want to explain a little bit of the science so that you don't think it's magical, because it's not magical. And it's really some science that has existed for quite a few years. It's based on spectroscopy. So basically, as you see, the scanner itself is a spectrometer, and it works with the phone and with the algorithms in the cloud. You scan the food by throwing light at the particles in the food. And these particles vibrate by absorbing energy and reflect back those photons. The spectrometer inside that scanner simply counts and sorts those photons. The graph that we obtain on it is number of photons per wavelength. That graph spectrum is unique to each food. So each food has its own fingerprint. That information is sent via Bluetooth to the phone. And the phone sends it to the cloud, and in the cloud we have several algorithms, learning algorithms, chemometric algorithms, algorithms that essentially decompose that spectrum into the different ingredients. We then store the information that the user sent to us for future use of the user, and send back that information into the phone. All this in 3 seconds or less. This is what essentially you would see on your phone, the number of calories, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and you can also learn about the different ingredients by looking at our TellSpecopedia, a Wikipedia of ingredients and health concerns. Thank you. My team deserves that applause, not me. They have been working night and day to get me here. Anyway, one unique characteristic about our food data engine is that every time someone scans the food, we store it in our database, and we learn better, and our algorithms become more accurate. So essentially, this is actually a crowdsourcing project, a community project, a project for the people by the people. And we have more than 250,000 scans in our data bank. But those are growing actually very fast, about 1,000 per week. But this is only a scratch of what we need in terms of delivering our vision. So we're building the first ever global spectral database of food ingredients. We are going where no man has gone before. And for those Trekkies, we are not there. We will be there, but we're not there. As you see, our scanner is still quite large and fat. It's kind of like a baby TellSpec scanner. It's not exactly what you carry in a jacket or in a purse, so we are actively miniaturizing it. And our scans, 250,000, not that many. But we believe that in the next 5 years, we'll have scanned enough to be able to actually be able to detect at least 80% of the foods consumed worldwide. Now let me show you how this food scanner actually works, okay? So I'm gonna cut the cake here. I'm not gonna eat it. I'm just gonna make sure that my scanner is connected here to, and you know, being of age, one needs glasses. And now, very simple, I am throwing some light at the food. And so the particles are returning now to the scanner. And we have a spectrum here on this phone. This is all Bluetooth done. And now on my other phone, you just give me a second, I have to open it, our app. We should be able to see the information about this cake. So, can you see the information about this cake? No? Well, it's important you see it. It's important you film it, because I'm going to give you some information. Can you see this? Yes? Okay. There is the fats, the calories, the carbohydrates, and here's the different ingredients. But what I really want to show you is that you will see glucose, fructose, maltose, and sucrose. Okay, now, likely, almost for sure, the recipe for that cake does not involve glucose. I'm not seeing any cook. We can ask the previous speaker, putting glucose in a cake. But we have glucose and fructose, and likely the recipe didn't call for that. But when sucrose is baked, it breaks down in fructose and glucose. And for someone like my daughter, she got to avoid that cake. Now, I'm giving you this information because we truly are going beyond the label. One thing is to tell you, I put in sucrose. Another thing is to say, you're eating sucrose, okay? So this is one thing that we are trying to do in order to really give understanding to people. Thank you. We also believe that the foods and data that we gather can be gathered into what we call a food print. This is a footprint, and it describes what people are eating through the world and what they're consuming and how their consuming process is changing. This information, coupled and correlated with their bio information, the information how they feel and their health and their genome and their epigenome, is going to be able to finally give data to scientists to study the importance of diet in the prevention of diseases. And not only that, we're going to be able to actually teach people what food they should eat, and ideally be able to contribute to the disappearance of epidemics such as obesity. When people understand what they eat and understand what they put in their mouth, they start being able to change. That information is yet to be available to us because it's not available, relevant when we are eating, but it's now becoming democratized. So what we hope to do is really to be able to provide information beyond the label to encourage accountability for produce farming as well as food manufacturing while educating the consumer in the implications of the ingredients that they eat and their wellness. We also want to make our database of information on the different ingredients and our engine, our food analysis engine, available to everybody, everywhere, independent of the scanner. We believe that this scanner eventually will be totally integrated in a phone. And so we are encouraging people to come in, use our technology to develop better ways to improve human health and build a greener future. It's a very ambitious project, but one that the world needs badly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Isabel. Well done. Thank you.